Hello and welcome to this installment of the Sports Den. My name is Domenic Papa and we're coming to you live from the WETV6 studios on the east side of Windsor, Ontario. And we're talking it up, the area and sports scene. We're going to talk a lot of great sports tonight. We've got a great panel assembled. I'll get to them in just a minute. I want to give a couple of shout outs as I always do at first. I want to commend the Essex Ravens football team of the Ontario Varsity Football League. They improved their record to 2-1. They spanked the Mississauga Warriors. Eli Farah sets a new record, 7 touchdowns in a game. Congratulations to him. And the Ravens will be in tough this weekend as they travel to TD Waterhouse Stadium in London to take on Team London. Good luck to Glenn Mills and the gang there. Also, Windsor Stars Soccer, they'll make their home debut this weekend in the League One Ontario League. They come back after playing 2 road games, a win and a tie, so not a bad start for the Windsor Stars. Steve Vanini and the gang there doing a good job in the early goings of that new league. Hopefully they can continue their winning ways this Saturday evening at 7 o'clock out at McHugh Park. Get out and support the Windsor Stars. And the Windsor Clippers Junior B lacrosse team, love these guys, but boy did they ever take it on the chin this past weekend. They lost a pair of games against 2 very good teams, Orangeville and Laura. Of course, the Clippers still with a very solid 12-3 record, still leading the Far West Division. They'll look to bounce back this week with a pair of games, including a home game Saturday night against Welland out at the Forest Glade Arena. On this edition of the Sports Den, we are going to talk about World Cup soccer. We're going to touch off on that, of course. The big event starts this week. We'll get the panel's thoughts on that. We're also going to talk about Donald Sterling of the NBA. This guy just will not go away. The panel, I'm sure, will have some real interesting things to say about that, considering we've got a real basketball fan with us tonight. And we're going to talk some baseball talk for the first time here on the Sports Den. I'll throw it out there to our fans. Of course, if you want to get involved in the discussion, I want to know if this is a Blue Jays or Detroit Tigers town. Of course, you can get involved with our discussion by going to our Twitter page at SportsDen Live. Also want to give a shout out to Pizza King, our main sponsor here tonight for taking care of our crew and staff. Pizza King always doing a good job to help us out, and we really appreciate their support of the Sports Den. Let's now introduce the panel and get talking some sports here. To the far side of the table, I'm going to call him a good friend for sure. He's a great man, works hard in our city at the McTagg Law Firm. He's a big part of the Westby Awards now. Mr. George King is in the studio with us. Welcome to the broadcast, George.
Thank you, Dominic. Glad to be here again.
This is right up your alley, all this stuff, isn't it?
Right up there.
I know you know,
not so much the soccer, but we'll get to that.
You has a great lawyer's mind, but they maybe some people don't know that you have a great sports mind too. You just love this stuff, don't you?
Love sports, love stats, love the numbers.
Yeah, and you do a very good job in digging all that stuff up. I know sometimes you throw things at me, and I'm like, man, where did he get that one from?
Absolutely.
But we'll look forward to some great comments from you here during the next 25 minutes or so. Also, a very well-known sports personality in our city because he owns the best sports shop in the city, perhaps. Certainly one of my favorite places to go and visit, talk some sports, although I can't spend as much time as I'd like to there. But if you need any sporting goods or anything, this guy could take care of you. Bob Riem of Bob Riem Sports is with us.
Good evening, Don.
And he is wearing shorts, by the way, folks. I know you can't see it behind him, but he's wearing shorts. And,
most definitely.
I knew he wasn't going to let us down that way. You know what? All the years you've watched and this, you've never been able to get on, and now we finally get you on the show. And we certainly appreciate you coming in, Bob, but you just love talking sports, don't you?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of what I do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it goes hand in hand at your sports shop. It's almost like that's kind of like the place where you just go sit and talk sports.
A lot of people do. Just come in and kill time a lot of time.
Yeah. And you are never short of comments.
Oh, always got an opinion here and there.
All right, well, we'll look for some of those opinions tonight. We have on our panel as well, he's doing some great work here at WE Television. He's also the author of a book. I'll let him plug the book. And this guy knows his sports inside out as well. And we certainly appreciate Todd Sheeran coming in onto the broadcast.
Pleasure to be here as always.
Baseball book. It's been out for a while now.
Major League Anxiety is the name of the book. You can find it on Amazon.com or .ca. And it's just the trip of a lifetime that my brother and I went to all 30 Major League ballparks in 28 days. Pretty crazy. That's crazy.
I know we talked about it before. The book is very good. I had a chance to read it, and I encourage a lot of you to get out, check it out, and it is a great book. And Todd does some great work with us also, like I said, on WE Television. Thanks for coming in, Todd. Again, if you want to get involved here with us, you can Twitter us. I'll try to get to some of the comments throughout the evening. I see Bob Murray has joined us. Hello to you, Bob, a good friend of mine as well. Glad to have you along for the ride here tonight. First topic, World Cup soccer will kick off this week. Canada, again, not being represented in this, it's pretty much standard now that they don't get to this level. Do people in Canada care about the World Cup, guys?
I don't know that they care, as a whole. The ethnic communities I know care about it around town, and you get to other cities and whatnot. Canadian hockey fans, I don't think they care whether this is on or not.
No way.
I don't think so. As a nation, I don't think so.
George is just like, no,
No,
it's not happening.
I mean, I don't think it's ethnic communities. Sure, I think part of the problem is it's a very nationalistic game. People get riled up to cheer for Australia or cheer for Brazil, and they all have their countries and they drive around with their flags on. But we haven't been in the World Cup in how many years, and we may never get back. And so you're not going to get that nationalistic passion that you get in some of the European and South American countries, Africa, wherever the game is played. Yeah.
Will you follow it?
No. I mean, did I enter a pool in our office? Sure, because I can't lose, right?
Yeah.
I either lose and the guys that know more than me do better than me, or if I beat them, I can tease them unmercifully for the next year or 4 years.
Win-win situation for you there.
Exactly.
Todd, I know you did the question of the week here for We Television, and the other question I'll throw out to the panel, what is the World Cup? A lot of people look at this as the biggest sporting event in the world. I mean, it's every 4 years, and like you said, it's got a lot of international flavor. Is it the biggest sporting event on the earth?
It's huge on a worldwide basis. I mean, these people live and die for it in these countries, probably worse than we are with hockey. And you have to think about it on a worldwide basis. I mean, the TV audience for this thing is absolutely huge, the numbers it does. And there'll be full stadiums in Brazil for the next month.
Go ahead, Todd. I know you put the question out there.
Well, you know what? I'm not necessarily a guy that follows soccer. However, I've spent my time on Erie Street, celebrating and whatnot.
Go to Erie Street?
That's the
What about
play.
the Teutonia Club, the Serbian Club?
I think undoubtedly this is a Italia all day city.
Okay.
It just maybe they just override everybody with their enthusiasm.
He just got a free dish of pasta.
I've been to a World Cup game.
Yeah.
It was here in the U.S. in '94.
I went to a couple myself.
I went to
yeah.
the first game,
Yeah.
Brazil and Sweden, that ended up being the final game. Brazil beat Sweden in the finals. But I went to this game. I took some clients. We go to the Silverdome. I got these great seats. Sweden scores in the first half, 1-0. Brazil scores fairly early in the second half, as I remember it. And then both teams might as well have gone to center court or center pitch and sat down and played tiddlywinks because they both played for a tie, knowing if they tied this game, they were going to win the other two games and get out of the first round. And I was furious. I left. I was screaming. I was yelling. My clients were saying, "Calm down." People are out in the parking lot like, "You just don't understand the game." What's not to understand about two teams playing for a tie? I'm sorry, I don't go to sporting events to watch ties.
Yeah. For me, it just seems like a lot of running for very few points. You know what I mean?
No stats.
Yeah, exactly. And,
I'm a stats guy.
They do as much running almost when they score as they do up to when they
Isn't
score.
that the beauty of the sport, though? The way they can run and the way they can handle the ball without using their hands and the way they use their body.
Well, they can-
and certainly the strategy in a soccer game is very important.
Yeah.
I'm not
okay.
selling these guys too
No.
much on all three of them. I'm just like,
I love in the morning on Sportsnet or any of the TV shows where they show 2 or 3 soccer highlights. The goals are brilliant. This problem is, I mean, what is it? Spain won the last World Cup. Where they score 8 goals to win the whole tournament? Come on, give me a break. It's
If you're
whatever.
looking for scoring, it's the wrong game to be
well,
watching.
for sure.
Unfortunately, to me, it's one of those sports that every 4 years you kind of get it, jammed down your throat a little bit. Whether you like it or not, you're going to see it. You're going to go get a Big Mac combo. You're going to have to look at the packaging that has
How does a Big Mac combo tie into World Cup soccer?
No,
the packaging and the fries is all World Cup decor. Even
Really?
the billboards. Yeah, McDonald's Canada loves World Cup. I'm sure McDonald's International loves World Cup
Yeah, I guess.
as well as whoever.
Sounds
you
like
know.
Todd Sheeran loves it.
No, cutting out.
Or just McDonald's.
But going back to the question, is it the biggest sporting event in the world? I think I learned and I agree that besides the Olympics I still agree that's the largest sporting event in my opinion. And I'll have to say soccer is the largest one sport world event for sure, bar none.
Well, economically, it probably is.
For sure.
Olympics bigger? So I think the Olympics is bigger.
It would be close.
You get, Canada's cheering at the Olympics, whereas we're not
Yeah, they haven't
necessarily
seen that
cheering now. So I think there's a little give and take in that, and I think more people are following it because they know people that are following it, not necessarily because they want to.
I don't like sports that are country related. I'm not a big Olympic guy and I'm not a big World Cup guy. I like team sports. cheering for the team you cheer for whatever reason. I just don't, I call it jingoistic athleticism. I just don't like it when people they think their country's great because they happen to score, Mexico beats Honduras 1-0 or 1-0, and somehow that means that Mexico's a better country or something. I don't get it.
All right, I think we better get off the World Cup topic in a hurry here because these guys have made their point, and we'll leave it at that. I do want to get into our next topic, and this one, I mean, this can go in, it's already gone in 20 directions. NBA, Donald Sterling. At one point, the team's sold. Now he's saying the team's not going to be sold. His wife cuts the deal to sell the team. Now he's gone back over to the other side. He was going to give in, and now he's saying he's suing the NBA for $1 billion. Boy, I'm glad we have a lawyer on the show tonight because if there's anybody that can give us some insight to that, maybe it is that man, George King. But is this damaging? All of this, is it damaging to the NBA?
It's not helping.
Yeah,
I mean, it's raised.
It's a gong show. It's turning into a gong show.
I mean, it's raised a pile of issues, and if you listen to a lot of the sports media that get around and talk to some of the owners and whatnot, the whole concept of can you say anything you want in your own house anymore for fear of being recorded illegally, which they've already thrown out there. She did record this illegally, and the next night you're on TMZ and you're the ultimate bad guy. Do you have no civil rights left at all? I mean, it's already been brought up. This is going to end up in the courts as part of it, too.
It started with the illegal act.
Yep.
I'm not sure it was illegal. I don't know U.S. law, but in Canada it wouldn't be illegal. You can tape a conversation. I'm not a criminal lawyer, but
knowingly or unknowingly.
If you're a party to the conversation, you can tape it in Canada.
This is why we have George on the show.
I don't profess to be an expert on this, even in Canada on this, but in the U.S. If you're party to a conversation, you can tape it. So if Bob calls me tomorrow, we're talking, I can tape the call. I don't have to say, hey, Bob, I'm taping this call.
And you don't have to notify him at all.
Where it becomes illegal is if you call Domenic tomorrow and I'm taping that call. That's illegal. So I'm not sure it was illegal. I don't know all the facts about what this girlfriend did. It's just not helping the league. And quite frankly, and now I'm hearing some things that the man may be suffering from dementia. So it becomes a bit of a, okay, how can you possibly
but
even?
Who's saying that he's
I don't know,
suffering from
but if he is, who's controlling the litigation? Because if he has dementia and he can't properly instruct lawyers, so you wonder what's the motivation? Okay, a $12 million investment to $1 billion? That's not enough. Like, why wouldn't you be selling anyway? He's 80-something years old. It's time to move on. So it's sad. I mean, the NBA has become a gong show almost in its entirety anyway. But that may be a topic for a different day. But this is certainly just adding to the sort of circus-like nature of the thing.
My research and from what I understand, Sterling has become upset again with the NBA because of the lifetime ban that's been imposed. He had no problem at first. In getting the team sold, he was going along with that. But then when they put the lifetime ban, and even after the team was sold, he was still going to have the lifetime ban. That's where he's taken up issue again. And that's why he said, well, the heck with it then. I'm just going to go forward with my lawsuit. And it's a lifetime ban is a lifetime ban, but whether you own a team or not.
You got to remember, though, the penalties in sports are worse than they are in life. Murderers get out of jail. But guys like Pete Rose and Donald Sterling, and look at Pete Rose. He bet on some games. And I'm not a big Pete Rose fan, but he bets on some games, he's still banned for life.
He had other guys bet on games for him.
Whatever. There's been people that have murdered people, been in jail and out of jail, and Pete Rose is still banned from baseball. And now we're going to ban Donald. Okay, if he's not an owner of a team, he can't come in like a fan. Who cares? Really? I mean,
well, obviously it means something to him, though. If that's
no. But why does the league care if he's not an owner? Why do they care if he comes in?
Well, why does the league care?
He comes in as a fan. He wants to sit in the box.
Why does the league care, Bob?
Well, the league always has an agenda. I mean, they've known he was a racist for a long time. I mean, David Stern knew he was a racist. He continued to let it slide.
He was about to receive an award from the NAACP, from what I understand out there.
Well, it was the second award they were going to award to him, and the first one was tied to money.
Well, I was going to say, it's easy to buy awards today.
Yes.
Well, not the Westby Awards. Let's make that clear.
Oh, absolutely not.
Not the Westby Awards.
Not any award, but there are awards that can be bought. And there was some litigation, and I guess they settled some litigation. I think you pay some money, and then it's done as, okay, well, this is a coming out. Let's do this. And like I say, I haven't analyzed this.
That's why he was getting the second one also.
Exactly.
The thing is, it all comes down to public relations, and the NBA is doing severe damage control. And there's a lot of that going on in the NBA, the NFL, with Michael Sam. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of firsts. And unfortunately, with social social media. It's getting overexploited that fast. And then people jump on, and everybody in the world has a free opinion. And there's no harm, no foul when you put your
It couldn't
opinion
come
out
at a
there.
worse time for the NBA.
Yeah. While his
when this
team's playing.
happened, his team was in the playoffs, and the players are saying, you don't do something, we're not playing tomorrow night.
Right.
I mean, you got TV contracts, you got everything going on and whatnot. The players are not going to show up tomorrow night.
My youngest son, he's here tonight watching this. He's a Clippers fan. And he was excited for the playoffs, and then he watches his team kind of get deflated over this. It's terrible for the fans. I mean, the man's a racist, okay, but it's horrible.
But he has said that he's not racist.
Well, okay. But
He made comments in the
racist
heat of
does
an
say
argument. He made comments in the heat of an argument, and they were recorded and exploited.
No, but a lot of this goes way back.
For sure.
I mean, he's got a history of making comments that in America are racist.
Okay, if that's the case, Bob, and fair enough, then why didn't the NBA take steps back then? I mean, nip it in the bud. Isn't that what should have been done here?
The question
I guess how much at fault is the NBA here? Then?
Yeah, well, that's a question that's been asked of David Stern. How come he let all this go? I mean, he was the guy who was the commissioner when different events came out in the LA area about stuff that he said. You know, he came right out and said, he owns apartment buildings and whatever. Well, no blacks allowed.
exactly.
No Hispanics allowed. No Mexicans allowed. I mean, he was a multi-dimensional racist. He didn't care which race he insulted.
Isn't that girl? Wasn't she?
She's mixed
Hispanic?
mixed race.
That's
yeah,
almost
absolutely.
like telling her
But
what you don't
the
come.
thing is, though, there's an expression from this great song by a band that nobody would know but me called "The Sound," and the line is, "From the safest places come the bravest words." And I think that's why Stern didn't do anything. You kind of know, but you don't have anything. Now you got the tapes. There it is. Pictures worth 1,000 words. And Silver had to move because there's no debating the comments. They were clearly racist. And so, like you say, Bill Clinton supposedly had Osama bin Laden. They had him ready to blow him up after the attacks in 1993. They didn't do it, and then 2001 occurs. So, you say, well, why didn't Clinton do it? Well, it wasn't quite that clear, I guess, that they're safe. And I think the same thing applies here.
Well, it's clear that this has already been ugly for the NBA. It's clear that this has been just a nightmare. Now there's going to be this lawsuit, at least right now. At least today, he's suing the NBA for $1 billion. Okay. What does the NBA have to do at this point? To just
You got a lot of owners out there who are concerned with this. And
course,
I've heard on radio a few of them
rightfully
interviewed and whatnot. So anything I've said in the past in a private conversation, I can be made accountable for in a court of law when this thing comes there. And Mark Cuban said, there's no way I want to get on that witness stand. I know what I've said in the last 10 years in private conversations. And I'm going to get skewed for this if it ends up in a court of law with the press there and everything. He said, there's a lot of other owners in the same boat that assumed that private conversation, will never come up anywhere. Yeah. And now in a court of law, if they subpoena me and ask me, I got to answer.
Speaking of your son, Hayden, he wants to know if any of the panel has heard the conversation of the tape. He's twittering us if any of you have heard the conversation between the girlfriend and
Not
Sterling.
since the day it came out.
I heard a fair bit of it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, well, why do you want to hang out with Magic Johnson and people like that?" He was kind of whining, and it's not good.
I think he maybe sees them more as a threat. They're younger. They're a little more in age proximity. Other than money, what is the relationship?
Exactly. That was the implication. That's clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Let's be realistic here. This girl's with him for only one reason.
Money.
Yeah, he's taking care of her.
Yeah.
So,
No, millions of reasons.
millions of reasons. Good point. Exactly.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of reasons.
All right. On that note, we've got to take a break, and we're going to take a quick time out here at the Sports Den. When we come back, we're going to talk baseball. Is it a Toronto Blue Jays town or is it a Detroit Tiger town here in Windsor and Essex County? That's the question for the panel. We'll have that for you right here on the Sports Den.
Take one empty field, round up a group of players, add 3 bases, plus 1 home plate, throw in a softball, and add an umpire. Play ball! It's not hard to get a game of softball going and to keep it going from the time you're 4 till you're 84. Softball. Get in the game.
1 out of 7 children across Canada are at risk of going to school on an empty stomach. That's why Breakfast Club of Canada provides a healthy breakfast to school kids nationwide every day, which can help to build a bright future for Canada's children. But there are still many more children who need our help. So please help us provide breakfast to the children who need it. Donate now on our new giving platform, ICanGoWithout.com, and visit breakfastclubcanada.org for more information.
Welcome back to the Sports Den. Thanks for sticking around. We've got a great panel assembled here. George King from McTagg Law Firm is with us, Bob Riem from Bob Riem Sports, and Todd Sheeran from WETV, reporter here, joining us on the Sports Den. Again, if you want to get involved in our conversation, you can tweet us at SportsDen Live, and we'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question for the panel or just want to make a comment, I'll see if I can take a little bit of time and get your question or comment out there. We're going to, at the break, well, before we get into our next topic, I want to give a shout out to Pizza King again for helping us out tonight. Of course, Pizza King takes care of our crew, and we certainly appreciate their support here at WeTV.ca. We left it at the commercial break. We're going to talk some baseball, specifically the Toronto Blue Jays and the Detroit Tigers. I know this debate's gone on with hockey, whether we're a Maple Leaf town or a Red Wing town. And if I remember correctly, there was an actual survey done, and it was pretty even. Are we a Blue Jays town or are we a Detroit Tigers town? And I ask this now because the Jays were just recently in Detroit. And I'll tell you what, there were a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans. Now, I don't know if they all came down from Toronto, but there were a lot of Windsor people wearing Blue Jays shirts too. And I'm sure, Bob, you might sell a lot of those because you have the Major League paraphernalia there. But are we a Blue Jays town or a Tigers town?
I think it's still slightly favoring Detroit. You've seen an upsurge in Toronto this year, but they're finally playing like they were expected to play last year. And that's brought Blue Jays fans out in full force. And you're right, there was a lot of Blue Jay fans at the games last week. Yeah, I was at Tuesday and Wednesdays, and there was a lot of Jays fans there, and a lot of Transit Windsor buses lined up, bringing them there and picking them up at the end of the night.
I think we were all at a game.
Yeah,
at least one
I was
last
at the
week.
Wednesday night game.
And not like it's not public knowledge, but as far as the teams go, Toronto made Detroit their town during that series. But I noticed at the park, as you guys probably did, it was all Toronto. With Detroit slumping, the fan that's the one time in the year that they get to go there, and we can battle, our border and our hometown of Windsor. But realistically, the Blue Jays are Canada's baseball team as well, so there's a lot more force behind it.
It's a little bit different.
Everybody from London, Kitchener, Woodstock, they're all going to come down if they're a fan of that team.
I think it's Tigers, but trending Blue Jays, and I think some of it is just situational. I mean, obviously the Jays are doing fantastic this year, so that's had a bearing on certainly on the number of people that were at Comerica Park last week. But the other thing is, I think in this day of social media, think about you don't need to be located in the team of your choice anymore. When I was growing up, and I'm not a Tiger fan, I never have been. As I rub my little Cubs lapel here, 100 years Wrigley Field this year.
Yep.
Without a World Series.
Without a World Series. Yeah, but don't give me a hard time here.
That took no time.
Any team can have a bad century.
Yes. The Red Sox did too, pretty much.
Not quite, but anyway. No, here's the thing. When I was growing up, if I wanted to go to a ball game, I had to go to Detroit. I've been cheering for the other team. On TV, you might get a game of the week. If you wanted to see any more baseball, you had to get I think it was Channel 50 or something back then, the local games. Now, with all the internet and everything else, people can be fans of just about any team. And I think the young kids today are not as geographically committed to Detroit. So I think it's trending Toronto. Right. We'll see. In 10 more years, it might be 50-50.
But when I was growing up and you had Old Tiger Stadium, I was told by my father, he's like, you gotta cheer for teams from your country. So follow the Jays, they're the closest to us. But you also want to cheer for your home team. And being South Detroit, the Tigers are our home team. So the biggest, baddest thing you wanted to go to back when I was a kid were the Tiger Blue Jay series, and they had more than one at least back in those days.
Once a year.
So you gave you a little more, heat under the,
One of our viewers thinks it's a Brewers town. So.
In Milwaukee.
Speaking of the Tigers, boy oh boy, here's a team. I know they're in first place still, as of this show.
Barely.
And I've talked to you, Bob, a lot about it. This team does not, if I'm an opposing team coming in, this team doesn't fear me. I don't fear this team anymore. Their pitching has been mediocre at best. The relief pitching is a joke. And they've got a couple guys that are hitting the ball pretty well. I mean, Kinsler, I think, has been nice. Martinez. And that's it. After that, you look at this, there's nothing to be afraid of.
The bottom, last week, from 6 to 9 in their lineup were 4 anemic hitters. Just anemic.
Just flat out inconsistent right now.
To boot. So.
Yeah, every team is flawed. I mean, right now, the Giants have the best record in the majors, but everybody else is flawed, especially in the American League. There
Yeah, but does that give
no
the
great
Tigers an
teams.
excuse? I mean,
No,
the
it
bar's
saved
been
them.
set so hard, and you look at the money. This is where I have to give Mike Ilitch credit. I mean, he's went out and spent the money. I mean, you look at what they're paying Cabrera now. You look at what they're paying Verlander. Like these guys are paid well.
I think there's a very interesting possible scenario for this baseball season shaping up. At this point in the year, and I haven't studied it all that closely, but by and large, maybe NL East a little different, but the division leads are larger than usual at this point in the season. And if that trend continues, we could get into a frenzy in the trade deadline season where you got, who's the buyers and who's the sellers. We might have a lot more sellers earlier this year than in normal cases. So you're going to see teams like Toronto, Detroit, San Fran, Milwaukee's ahead this year. Are they gonna go buy somebody like they bought Sabathia a few years ago to keep ahead of the pesky Cardinals? It could be very wild, but there could be a huge separation between the haves and the have-nots by the end of the year.
Let me crank it up a little bit here.
All right.
If we're talking about is this a Tigers or a Jays town, season ends today. They could play against each other in the playoffs.
Yes.
What does that mean for this area? How could that
Should
be?
We end the season
insane.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If
I would
we
love
did,
that.
If we
I would
did,
love that.
I'll tell you what.
That'd
The
be
Blue Jays
amazing.
win that series easy.
Yep, I would say it
this
would
point,
end up
yeah.
being probably
Well, at this
Oakland
point,
against
yeah.
the Jays
Sure.
in
Blue Jays
that
win
set.
that series
Yeah.
easy.
I'm not touting Tigers, but don't forget, since you last saw Toronto, they've been shut out 3 times.
The
So
401 would be so busy.
They're getting some pitching this year. They're healthier. And I think
Well, they're
Bob
hitting.
said, and they're,
Other than
their
3 of the
lineup-
last 4 games.
Oh my
Both-
gosh, their
both
lineup
GMs.
is deadly.
yeah, it's a great lineup.
Great
Again, when we
lineup.
watched, I went over with Bob, and I said, "Boy, this is a pretty good team. You look at that lineup; it's pretty damn.
They
pretty
hammer the
good."
ball.
Both
They have a lot
GMs
of
built their teams to win this year.
Well,
Both
exactly. Well, the
teams.
Tigers have been built for the last 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
supposedly, to win. I mean,
Couple
they're-
gears
they've
broken
knocked on
there.
a door. What does Dombrowski have to do at this point? I mean, does he have to make that big trade? And I'll throw this out to the panel.
Buy somebody.
Do you give Verlander away at this point? Do you trade him or Scherzer? Because you're going to have a hard time signing Scherzer, obviously. I mean, they made him a
he's
pretty
already
damn good offer.
turned down a big offer. Though he said he wants to stay in Detroit.
Well, they all say that. All athletes say that. They got to say that.
Verlander will
Exactly.
be the tougher one to get rid of because somebody's got to absorb that contract, which is a re-sign from last year. So there's a lot of money and a lot of years left on his contract for somebody to take on.
but he's still attractive to some teams.
Oh yeah, Scherzer you can just make a deal
I mean,
for.
if Detroit could handle his contract, there's other cities that.
Well,
can
there's
handle his contract.
there's others that can. I mean, everybody
so
keeps
what does
pointing
Dombrowski
at.
do here? I mean, I don't think anybody wants to push the panic button just yet, but boy, it's not far away because this team has just not been good.
Yeah.
I know they have a winning record, but they won a lot of their games against teams that stunk.
They were 27-12 at one point this season.
Yeah, and they beat a lot of those teams that stunk, the
Yeah.
garbage teams. And then when they played the better teams, they got it handed to them. So this tells me this team's not very good.
I mean, they have the starting pitching. It went south
But
for a
even
couple of
so-
weeks, and usually that stuff will correct itself. I mean, guys don't generally forget how to pitch, but guys have slumps. In their case, 3 of them had slumps all at the same time, which was hard to get through. They've got the best hitter in baseball. You got to keep them healthy. They have to address the bullpen. The bullpen, everybody knows if you can get a starter out in the 6th inning,
How
the
many
game is on
years have they
again.
tried to address the bullpen?
Oh yeah, it's
I mean, how many kicks at the can are they going to get here?
been an ongoing
Some of the
thing.
speculation.
And it's not like this has just happened. This has been ongoing. Their bullpen has always been a headache. Okay, since they lost to the young, who was that, Joel Zamaya?
Yeah.
But he was erratic.
Well,
He was erratic, but he was somebody that was young that they could have worked with, and he was a fireballer. I mean,
Right.
101, 102 miles an
Where's
hour.
Willie Hernandez when you need him?
Well, exactly. I mean, boy, how much do you appreciate that guy right now?
Some were speculating that they go after the Phillies and try and grab Papelbon and Rollins.
Yeah, I could see something
And in the same article said
Or
Howard,
Clifford.
but I don't think you need
No,
a
you don't
Howard.
need
You
Howard,
have
but-
Martinez and Cabrera
Yeah.
bouncing between first and
I
DH.
think they definitely got to do something if they're going to win this year. I hope they don't because I don't like them. But
Tampa's another team that has some
Tampa's-
guys that can
yeah.
make moves
Yeah.
with them. You
Yeah,
could end up with a
sputtering.
Longoria.
Well, that's
in
a team
Detroit.
people
You
figure
never
will be
know.
a
that
seller.
would be worth
Yeah,
trading
yeah.
for.
Their season
That
is
would be a
gone
World
south.
Series team. Yeah.
Don't forget to check us out every Tuesday night here on the Sports Den. You can watch it at we-tv.ca. We're on live at 7 p.m. You can get involved by tweeting us at SportsDen Live. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, next Tuesday we'll have another good show for you. We'll bring on some new panelists and we'll talk some sports. If you're Dave Dombrowski, what's the move you make?
Got to get an ace relief pitcher and another infielder very quickly.
Okay, Dave Dombrowski, what are you doing there?
I'd probably gamble on Papelbon depending on what I have to give up to get him.
Is it all about pitching with the Tigers?
Yes.